So, you're thinking about bringing a product to the Japanese market. Smart move. But you've probably come across something called the SG mark. It's a huge deal for safety over there, but figuring out how to get it can feel, well, a little overwhelming. In the next few minutes, we're going to clear all that up. Let's dive in.
First things first, what exactly is the SG mark? You can think of it as a super-powered seal of approval from Japan's Consumer Product Safety Association, or CPSA. It tells shoppers your product has passed some seriously tough safety tests. But here's the real kicker. It also includes the compensation system if an accident happens because of a defect. That's why it's such a massive symbol of trust and quality for Japanese consumers. And that, right there, is the million-dollar question. This isn't just some sticker you can buy off a roll. It's a certification you absolutely have to earn. And that's exactly what we're here to do. Break down the practical steps and, more importantly, the strategic choices you'll need to make.
We'll start with the biggest decision you'll face, the two different paths you can take. Then, we'll get into the weeds of each one. We're talking process, costs, all that good stuff. We'll even cover the long-term commitments. And we'll wrap it all up with a clear guide to help you figure out which route makes the most sense for you.
Okay, so the very first thing you need to get your head around is that the CSAP gives you two completely different ways to get the SG mark. And trust me, this isn't just a paperwork thing. It's a major strategic decision that really depends on your business and what your goals are in Japan.
It really all boils down to one question. Are you in this for the long haul, or do you need to move fast? The factory registration path is the deep, all-in route. It's built for manufacturers who are planning to sell products continuously for years. Lot certification, on the other hand, is the express lane. It's designed for specific shipments, which makes it perfect for traders, importers, or hey, even a manufacturer just dipping their toes in the water. All right, let's take a closer look at Path A, the factory path. You should think of this as the gold standard for manufacturers who are truly serious about having a long-term presence in Japan. This process is thorough, man. It certifies not just your product, but the entire facility and the processes you use to make it.
The whole thing happens in three main stages. First, the CPSA comes and inspects your actual factory. They're making sure you have the right gear and quality control to pump out safe products consistently. Second, your specific product model gets sent off for testing. And then finally, once your factory and your model both get the green light, you can apply for the actual SG mark labels to stick on your products.
So, how do you get the ball rolling? Well, it starts with this fee. It's a non-refundable 100,000 Japanese yen, that's roughly $640 or so, that you pay right when you submit your application to kick off the whole factory inspection process. Now that initial fee covers the on-site inspection itself, but, and this is a big but, it doesn't cover the inspector's flights or hotel. This leads to a really interesting choice. You can actually pay another 100,000 yen for an online inspection, which, can often be way cheaper than flying someone out. And don't forget to budget for an interpreter if you need one. Okay, so let's say the inspection went great, your factory is officially registered. Pop the champagne, right? Well, hold on, you're not quite at the finish line yet. The next critical step is getting the specific product you want to sell certified. They call this model certification. For every single product model you want to get the SG mark on, there's a fee you pay to the CPSA. And just a heads up, starting January 1st, 2025, that fee is going to be 10,000 yen. This is purely for the paperwork side of things for certifying that specific model type. And this is a super important point, so you'll want to remember this. That 10,000 yen fee is just for the certification from the CPSA. It does not cover the cost of actually testing the product. The physical, hands-on lab work. That's a totally separate expense that you pay directly to the approved testing lab doing the work. Okay, let's totally switch gears now and talk about Path B, the lot path. This is a completely different ballgame. It's all about speed and flexibility, which makes it an amazing option for importers, trading companies, or even manufacturers just sending over a single batch to test the waters. So instead of this whole deep dive into your factory, this path focuses only on the products themselves. The process is way simpler. First, a sample from your initial lot or your shipment gets the full workup, complete conformity testing to make sure it hits all the SG standards. After that, for any future lots of that same product, the lab just does a simpler uniformity test to make sure the quality is staying consistent. Now here's where things get really streamlined.
With the lot path, you're not paying fees to the CSPSA directly. Everything, the certification fee, the testing costs, even the cost of the SG Mark labels, it's all handled by one place. You pay it all directly to the approved testing lab. It's basically a one-stop shop.
And this flexibility is precisely why Path B is so popular. It's not just for the folks who make the product. Trading companies, importers, distributors, even retailers can be the one to apply. Pretty much, if you have a batch of products and you want to sell them in Japan, this path is for you.
Okay, let's jump back to the factory path for a second. Getting your factory registered isn't a one-and-done kind of thing. Because it's a long-term certification, it comes with, you guessed it, long-term responsibilities to prove you're keeping up those high standards.
Your factory registration is good for 6 years, but it's not a set-it-and-forget-it deal. They have mandatory check-ins. Right at the 3-year mark, you'll have what's called a confirmation inspection. Then, when the 6 years are up, you've got to go through a full renewal inspection to keep your certification going.
Now, the cost for these check-ins depends on what's needed. A simple document review is obviously the cheapest way to go. A full-blown online or on-site inspection is going to cost you more. The main takeaway here is that the system is designed to reward factories that stay compliant with a lower financial hit over time. Now this is straight from the CPSA, and it tells you everything you need to know about their philosophy. They're basically saying, hey, we're setting these fees low because we expect you to be actively producing and selling products with the SG mark. The whole system is built for active players, which leads to a pretty interesting penalty.
And here it is. If you go through all the trouble of registering your factory, but then you don't actually use very many SG marks over a 3-year stretch, the CPSA can hit you with an extra fee of 200,000 yen. The message couldn't be clearer. The factory path is for businesses that are truly committed to supplying the Japanese market.
Okay, we've covered a ton of information. We've gone deep on the long-term factory path and the fast and flexible lot path. So the big question remains, how on earth do you decide? Let's pull it all together and make this simple.
So when you boil it all down, the choice is pretty clear. Path A, the factory path, is like a long-term marriage. It's a deep 6-year commitment that's best for manufacturers who plan on continuous production. Path B is all about speed dating. It's focused on the product, it's open to anyone in the supply chain, and it's perfect for a single shipment or just testing the market. In the end, your business strategy is what's going to point you to the right path.
And that's our deep dive into the SG mark. We've broken down the paths, the price tags, and the promises you have to make. So the final question really is for you. As you get ready to enter one of the most demanding markets in the world, you know your product is ready. But now you have to ask yourself, is your certification strategy